Welcome, everybody. It is straight at the top of the hour, so thank you for joining me live, and thank you if you're here for the video replay. Now, as a lot of you know, you've attended these before. I do them about every 30 to 45 days, and the replay always goes up on that same landing page. So if you've opted in once, you can obviously just go back and watch those replays. But today we're going to go a little bit deeper into a lot of requests that I've had on how to create some more custom and advanced options. But in order to get there, because I surveyed everybody, I need to make sure I cover some of the basics. It won't take more than probably 7 to 10 minutes of this, but I would say this, if you think you know everything, you're probably delusional, because this topic is changing so quickly. Even this morning, as I was preparing for this, things were automatically changing. So I encourage you to take notes. Everybody will get the replay. You can share the link, of course, with your teams. Obviously, I'd like them to opt in. But we've got people from all over the world here today. We've got a few hundred people here that have registered. We're going to go for the strict hour, and then I'll stop, but I am going to go to Q&A, and I will stick around and answer questions after that prepared hour. So I do encourage you to raise your hand. Devin, my producer, will be looking at the chat and looking for questions. If you do have a question, please utilize the Q&A section of Zoom. By now, everybody should know how to do that. Devin will look at those, and then we will stop it a few times to do that. All right, so let's continue. Here's our agenda for today. We're going to take a look at how to leverage AI more effectively, regardless of what level you're at, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced. We're going to talk about some best practices on how to solve problems, regardless of your level of expertise. We're definitely going to talk about creating AI agents, and that's a pretty broad brush term that can mean a lot of things to everybody, but you're going to be well more prepared when we're done with this presentation today. We're going to talk about robotic process automation. It's a fancy term for saying workflows and what the pros and cons are. And then, of course, taking specific action steps. Now, I do want to play an introduction now. We're a couple minutes in. We've had people continuing to join. So if you've joined us, this is the AI Automate, Dominate. And I'm going to just play a short little demo video because I want people to know that are here that maybe aren't familiar with who I am. So this will just take a second. Here we go.
In a world where business success is constantly redefined, Ford Saeks has helped companies generate over $1 billion in sales worldwide. From startups to Fortune 500s, Ford is widely recognized as a business growth accelerator. With over 20 years of experience, he has authored several books, been awarded 3 U.S. patents, and received numerous industry awards. Tenacity and innovation are what fuels this revenue-generating powerhouse. From grassroots to Google and beyond, Ford provides his clients with fresh perspectives and doable tactics to resolve marketing, operations, and growth challenges. As president of Prime Concepts Group, founder of the Accelerated Growth System, and host of Fortify Live, Ford specializes in helping businesses solve their biggest challenges and unleash the power of AI innovations. He's an avid cyclist, global traveler, and outdoor enthusiast, channeling his drive for exploration and resilience both on trails and in guiding organizations to new heights. We're happy to have him here with us today. So please, give a warm welcome to Ford Saeks.
And the crowd claps. All right. So why are we here? We're here for accelerated business growth. How do you expand your influence? How do you improve the customer experience and increase sales? And how do you improve business operations? There's a lot of webinars and AI masterclasses right now. I can't even open up my inbox without seeing 7 to 10 every day. Most of them are from sponsors or from vendors that are trying to upsell you to a specific type of tool. And some of them are very helpful, but this is not an infomercial today. This is a hands-on, interactive, executive brief in 60 minutes. So I encourage you to take notes. I would encourage you to look at the timestamp of the video so you can go back and think about what are things that you need to know more about, what are you going to do, and what are you going to hire. So as you take your notes, I don't expect a lot of you to be doing RPA and workflows. Like, you're going to hire that out, but I want you to understand what it can do. So if you do hire a service provider, that you understand what it can do. So your first tip is, if you think it, you can do it, because you can do some amazing things. Now, to make sure everybody can actually see this full screen, these are 3 areas of focus for the intermediate and advanced that we're going to go into. We are going to cover some of the basics. So if you're tuned in and you're like, I don't even know what any of this is, just hang on. I just want to make sure that I get the intermediate advanced people covered, that they know what we're going to look at today. So on the first row, you see custom GPTs. Those are AI modules that are trained to do a specific task. I think of them as your virtual staff, like sales bots, brand assistants, training helpers. I want to say VA, but I don't. It's not a real person, it's AI. And then you have AI agents. Those are custom programmed modules, bots or widgets that actually have workflows with reasoning. So the difference between an AI agent and a custom GPT is there's more workflows to it. And then, of course, RPA, which is robotic process automation, that has to deal with no decision making, but rules-based data. So, for example, we have a workflow that says when you sign up for the webinar, you're signing up from our WordPress website at profitrichresults.com. It's a gravity form. Gravity form grabs your information. It automatically puts the survey data into an Airtable. And then it calculates all of the responses, sends it over to ChatGPT to be analyzed so that I can properly prepare for the presentation. What is everybody looking for? Now, obviously, with the hundreds of people that we had signed up, I would love to get to all of the questions, but keep in mind there were hundreds, literally, and I'll do the best at giving you the best takeaways so that you can go out and solve your own problems. So those are the things that we're going to be looking at from a more advanced standpoint: custom GPTs, how to train them, AI agents, what they are, and robotic process automation. So those are definitely the areas that we're going to be focusing on today. But to do it, I want to make sure we cover some of the basics. Every time I present at an opening keynote for a conference or something and I present on AI, I always talk about it through business, right? I'd be doing an audience a disservice. So even if I'm brought in for business growth acceleration, I always have a segment on AI because it's so relevant. So whether you're a franchisee or franchisor, an entrepreneur, whether you're in home services, home care, quick serve restaurants, fast casual, full service dining, whatever the business model, retailer, wholesale, or distributor that you are, this is really important. Your mindset is the key factor. It's not the strategies and the tactics, right? To bridge the gap from where you are to where you want to go, it's always mindset, strategy, and tactics. But you have to get your mindset dialed in first. And when it comes to AI, there's a lot of delusional thinking. I talk to people and I say, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, how skilled are you? Oh, I'm a 9 or a 10. And then I go in and I share the screen on Zoom and they don't have custom settings set up. They don't even have their account protected. Their data is being used to train the AI. So they're delusional and maybe I'm using the word wrong, but they don't know what they don't know. And the scariest people to me are the ones that don't know what they don't know and don't know it. So I'm fully aware that there's more than I don't know. I don't want anybody abusing the chat. We might have actually turned the chat off. So if you're going to use the Q&A, use the Q&A. But what I would tell you is these are the key factors for success, regardless of what business you're in, right? You want to be open-minded versus closed-minded. You want to be looking at this from how can I leverage this? You're obviously coachable or you wouldn't have signed up. So good. You're curious or you wouldn't have signed up. You're proactive because you signed up. But you got to take accountability for your own learning curve. No matter what goes on in my life, I have to answer. No matter how much I get upset about certain things, it always comes back to I'm 100% responsible for my actions, my inactions, my performance, and my results. So I just want to cover that right away as we go, so that as we go through some of the strategies and tactics, if your mindset's getting in the way, then you won't be able to take advantage of these great tools. So whatever your area of focus is, whether you're in operations, marketing, sales, or the customer experience, this is for you. Now I have to say this, I'm known for it, right? AI isn't going to replace humans, but it's definitely going to replace humans that aren't using AI. So now, a couple years into AI, most of you who are, if not all of you, are already using it to some level, but just remember, it's an ongoing learning curve. Now, I told you we were going to cover a couple of the basics. That's what we're doing right now. It's only going to take a couple minutes, so just hang in there with me, everybody, and use the Q&A down below. So I would say most of the popular AI tools now, they're all multimodal, which means they can read, they can write, they can see, they can hear, and they can speak. So I encourage you to get it on your phone and start interacting, because they're so much different than what they used to be as far as how you work. Now, I'd be doing you a disservice if I didn't. For those of you that are new on here, to make sure that no matter what you use in the human behavior, that you have human oversight. When I say human behavior, what I'm saying is when you're using AI, you have to have human oversight, because I call these glorified toasters on autocomplete, and they're getting pretty fancy, but you need to have the human oversight. So again, quick reminder, don't just copy and paste out of any AI tool. You have to have the proper human eyesight and empathy and validate the sources. You're going to get biased responses. There's privacy and security issues. We'll talk about setting the defaults. There's a lot of legal liabilities right now as it turns on AI. And, governments might try to put regulations on AI, and I'm not here to talk about pros and cons of that. I will just say, the genie's out of the bottle. You're not going to be able to put it back in. And I think if one country tries to put regulations on it, it's just going to expand in another country. So I would look at how to coexist with these tools. And then, of course, there's risk management. So for those of you, depending on what your role is, there's definitely a lot of risk. So as we're almost done with the beginning stuff, but I have to make sure we put it in here for those people that are maybe in a newer, and I had a lot of people who we said, hey, this is a more advanced, but they still signed up. So I'm glad you're here, and I want to make sure I honor everybody. The biggest thing I can tell you about prompting is to have dialogue, not a monologue. Have a complex conversation. No matter what tool you're using, talk to the AI and have a conversation. Tell it, ask me questions until you understand. Interview me. What did I miss? Like, treat it as if you're talking to a virtual human, because that's going to help you get the best prompts. So the big thing on prompting is to treat it as a two-way communication, not just the way you've been trained with Google. Okay, great. So Ron Carr's here. Okay, great. Yeah, I will definitely do that, Ron. So I'm glad the chat's working. So kudos to Ron for being the first person to enter something into the chat. All right. So the point here is have a two-way conversation. Make sure you're using it. And here's the next tip. And this is worth everything. So I hope you've tuned in while you're here. We still have people joining the presentation today as we continue here. If you joined late, you're going to get the replay. The biggest thing I would tell you is if you want to learn and leverage AI, use AI to learn and leverage it. I mean, it almost sounds silly to even mention this, but when I'm trying to do something, I have 3 browser windows open. I have ChatGPT. I actually have the desktop version open, but I have ChatGPT open, I have Claude open, and I have Perplexity open. Perplexity is my main tool that I go to. I'll ask Perplexity, give me step-by-step instructions on how to do X. And so I'm using Perplexity, I'm using Claude, I'm using ChatGPT, I'm using Copilot, and I'm using multiple AI tools, hate air quotes, to help me understand how to do something. So regardless of what I share with you today, if you come up to a roadblock and you're like, yeah, but he didn't go deep enough on this one piece, go to Perplexity and say, I just attended an AI masterclass with Saeks. He was talking about X, Y, and Z. Give me step-by-step instructions on how to do this, or explain it to me like a 5-year-old. And that is a huge tip today. I know that some of you like, really? I signed up to come here for that? But are you using it? Because it's not what you know, it's how well you execute. And if you want to execute more effectively with AI, use AI to train you. And that includes if you're writing code, or if you're doing JavaScript, or you're writing programming code for a website, or using Divi Builder, or whether you're analyzing big data or using Excel or any of the other tools that are out there, and thinking about your tech stack, right? So my tech stack, I have Zoho, I have QuickBooks, we have Zoho, and Zoho has 50 modules. So there's campaigns and the CRM and all the different workflows that go in with Zoho. And we use all these tools, but it's not about knowing everything. It's about having a basic understanding that data is data, and AI can work with large data. It can move data in and out of other programs. And all of these major players now understand that in order to capture you as a subscriber, they have to add new features. And they're adding them all the time. I just logged into Claude this week, and now they've got integrations. They didn't have integrations before the last time we did this presentation. And so I'll show you more about what that is, but let's just recap. So two-way conversation. If you don't know, ask, and ask it to interview you. have a dialogue, not a monologue. Set your defaults, which we're going to talk about here in just a second, and then use AI in multiple devices and also multimodal. So, ask it, take a picture. Now AI can watch your desktop as you're going. Like it's so much different than it was even just a few months ago. So, where we are now, take a look at the link on the screen. This is also on YouTube. You can opt in on that training page. That's where you're going to get the replay, obviously, when this is done. But there's a 5-minute video on how to prompt. So I'm not going to go any deeper on prompting other than what I just did. Go watch the video and leverage it, and that will help you. So I talked already about the importance of the human touch. And what does that really mean as AI gets smarter? For those of you on the last webinar I did, I talked about Notebook LM by Google. And you can upload content and it creates a podcast. So if you're trying to learn something or the power of focus, let's say I can upload a PDF document, maybe a link to the person's website and say, give me a podcast on this topic. So brands are using it, customers are using it, and it's creating a podcast that interrupts each other, that's two people talking. It is unbelievable. So if you haven't checked out Notebook LM for how advanced AI is getting, and I've said this before, you're not going to know the difference between what's real and what's not going forward. Now, this is me. This isn't an AI avatar from HeyGen. This is me messing up the words and, missing things up. See, that's live, right? So what I would tell you, though, is the biggest challenge is that going forward, you're not going to know what's real and what's not. And so the human touch, the human behavior is so much more valuable. I was just on a Fortify episode with a large franchise brand just yesterday, and we were pre-recording the episode for Fortify, and we were talking about AI, and we were talking about the statistics and the testing that they're doing. And the testing that they've come up with is if you have a kiosk for ordering and the person can actually see a human, that it increases the average sale. It increases the number of items and the average ticket because they feel more comfortable if they have a host guiding them. So you're going to start seeing it's not, is it AI or is it human? It's a combination of both. On my last presentation, I talked about the 4 levels. We are not going as deep. I'm going to go right through this section now so we can go into the AI agents. So level 1 is conversational AI. That's where you're using the main tools like ChatGPT and Claude, Perplexity, Grok, Copilot. You can see them all on the screen. Those are large tools. If you're new, pick 2 or 3, get familiar with it, or go to Perplexity. Perplexity is where I start. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the importance of, see how easy that was? We just did an hour webinar in 2 seconds. I just pushed the button and here we go. So your next action step is to go to every tool that you're using, whether it's a large language model that we just talked about on this previous slide, or whether it's one of the hundreds of thousands of specialty apps. Go in and set your defaults. Each one is going to be different, but there's going to be something that says, don't use my data to train the AI model. They're getting a little savvier how they word it. They're not saying, keep my data safe. They're saying, yes, I want to use my data to train the AI model. So I'm going to play this quick little video for you. So this is ChatGPT. You go in, you click settings, and you scroll down, and you can read the screen here. Go to personalization. And you'll see in here that it has memory, and you can manage your memory right there on the screen. So you can turn that on and you can turn that off. Now that's not your privacy. You can also turn off previous conversations so that it's not continuing to learn as you continue to use it. And so you want to decide what your settings are going to be. Now, beyond personalization and custom instructions, you want to go to data controls. And data controls is what I was just talking about. Improve the model for everyone. And so if you have this turned on, then whatever you put into ChatGPT, including if you have the voice mode turned on, it's going to go and be used. So that's what you're going to want to turn off. If you're unclear whether your data should be used, turn that off. Okay? All right. So ChatGPT and all these other programs now have a Teams version, and they usually have an enterprise version. And the reason these brands have come up with, quote, the enterprise version is because they know you're not going to deploy it in your organization without keeping it private. So I've done a lot of work with franchise brands and other organizations, and they'd say, nope, we're only using Copilot. Okay, but you have an acceptable use policy? Because I guarantee your team and your employees and staff and family franchisees are going to be using AI. So it's going to be kind of hard to prevent them from doing it. And if they're an employee, obviously acceptable use policy. So that's your action step. Do you have one? Make sure you set that up so that you're not allowing just anybody on your company to use the data randomly. And it's still happening rampantly, but you heard it here. So set your defaults. Okay. So we just did the ChatGPT. So now I'm going to go talk a little bit about Claude. So Claude, I like Claude because it writes great content. It gives you deeper answers than just ChatGPT, in my opinion. But I want you to see this new choice on the prompt box where it says, how can I help you today? There's that little thumbnail slider bar, and that's where you can add integrations. So that means you can have these programs go into AI, but then leave AI to go to another tool and get data and interact. So they're no longer just confined to Claude or ChatGPT or Perplexity. They're actually going out and working with other programs. Now, I know you're going to have questions. I can see that. Type it into the chat. Just don't abuse the chat, anybody, or you'll probably get kicked out of the webinar. All right, so Perplexity. Let's talk just quickly about that one. So one of the things, so we're getting into the AI agents right now. So just everybody take a deep breath. We're now going to talk about agents. So up until now, we covered the basics, be open-minded, use your tools, take notes, use AI to solve AI, be multimodal, use multiple AI tools to solve the problems and to set your defaults. But now we're going to go to some more advanced. I call it advanced. For some of you, it'd be like very easy, but let's talk about actual use cases for this. Instead of just using ChatGPT and having to prompt it every single time, I'm going to refer to ChatGPT, but it's the same with all the other programs. So I have a podcast that's weekly at 11 a.m. Central. I have podcast guests. It used to take us a lot of time, my team, to Google the guest and go to their website and research them and come up with a show hook and a show intro and the interview questions and the closing and the social media post. It used to take a long time. And now we have an agent, and I'm going to make this full screen. It says, whoops, wrong button here, everybody. So this is a screenshot of Perplexity. And you'll see on the left-hand side where it says private. I have a Fortify agent. I have a PRR, which is my speaking business. I have my AI book. Brad Cleveland, sorry, I didn't turn that off. So that's one of our clients, Brad Cleveland. And we were working with him on customer experience. And then Strategic Remodel was another client. So these are private spaces that Perplexity uses. So I can go in here and say, my next guest is, like I had Prince EA. He's got billions of views on YouTube if you don't know who he is. And all I had to do is say, my next guest is Prince EA. It went out and researched him, gave me key talking points, gave me a welcome message, gave me the show hook, gave me the interview questions. He did it all before me. And I had all that done in just a blink of an eye. So your action step is, if there's anything you're doing that's repetitive, that should trigger you to set up an agent. Now, the word agent can mean different things to other people. As I'm referring to it right now, that means customizing it to do one particular task. I'm going to show you exactly how we do that. So these are my three go-to tools: ChatGPT, my main tool; Perplexity for research; Claude for writing code. This is the training document. So this is your next action step. You're going to go to the landing page, and I'll show you the link to the landing page here in the next second. Make sure it's on the next screen. Yep, it is. So you're going to go to this link. It's on the screen right now. There's no opt-in, everybody. This brings you straight in because you've already registered. I don't need you to opt in. I already have your names anyway. But if you go to profitrichresults.com/AI-thank you, there's a couple different documents. Obviously, that's the last masterclass. That'll change as of this afternoon. The slides will change as of this afternoon. The replays will be lower on the page. I put the previous ones lower, but this is going to be where this replay will be. It'll be on this page. So if you're taking notes and you want to watch this replay, that's the page it's going to be on. Now, what I want you to look at is that document where I've got the little orange arrow. Download the AI Ready Blueprint. And on that blueprint, you're going to have information for your company overview and all the 10 different things you see on the screen, along with some instructions. And you might say, well, gosh, that's going to be a lot of work, Ford. Well, guess what? Use the action step I just shared with you. Take the document, go to Perplexity, upload the Word document into Perplexity, and then ask Perplexity, here's my business, here's my brand, here's my role. I want you to review this document and fill it out for me and ask me any clarifying questions if Ford missed anything, and let's get to work. So you're going to use Perplexity because that's the most strongest research engine right now. Other ones we could argue which ones are better. But if you're just starting out, please just do it this way. It's a lot simpler, right? Some things will make you more smarter, but they won't make any more money. This is going to how you can get it done. So I have created those brand style guides for every business, every brand, every product line. I'm giving everybody here today just the generic one for a company overview because everybody works at a company, but you could customize that training document for any role in the wheel of excellence, right? Whether you're in operations, leadership, management, whether you're building a culture, whether you're in marketing, sales, the customer experience, finance, accounting, like you can create a training document. So the action step is you're going to create your own Word document or Pages document or Google Sheet, whatever you're most comfortable with. And you're going to tell it everything about your business and your brand. That's the outcome. So you're going to create this organic document. I'm giving you a template to use, but you can go start from scratch if you want. Get the training document because every AI tool allows you now to upload training documents. So level 1 is just using the tool. Level 2 is using specialty apps. Level 3 is the AI agents, and that's what we're spending the rest of this time on today. But it starts with those training documents. Now, you can obviously have more than one document. I'm going to explain that as we go now, but I want you to get the concept of the training documents. And Devin, make sure you let me know if there's anything that I'd say, okay, Nate's here. Good. Yes, you have to. So someone asked me, well, to create these GPTs, yes, pay the $20 or whatever the minimum fee is. You know, most of them have monthly subscriptions and you're going to get faster access and more features. So yes, you are going to spend some money, but if you're saying, okay, I'm spending 20, you're spending $60 a month. Yeah, but you're saving thousands if you're really leveraging these tools effectively. So that's really the key. All right, moving on to the next piece. So you've got your training document. Obviously, I hope you got ChatGPT downloaded on your phone so you can talk to it. Let's talk about level 2 for 15 seconds. If you're seduced by technology and you just want to learn more about AI, go to these 2 websites. Go to futurepedia.io or aitoolsdirectory.com. Bring a Coke and a pizza because you're going to be there. Really, really healthy food there. But Coke and a smile because you're going to be there a while. You're going to go down the rabbit hole on specialty tools because there is a tool for just about everything. Kind of like when the apps came on, there's an app for that. So you can just go to those 2 websites. That's all I'm going to cover. That was the 15 seconds. If you want to look at specialty products and compare them and rate them and find a specific thing to do X, Y, and Z, go to those 2 websites because that's going to help you see the ones that are crowdsourced and the ones that are most popular. Now, on the last presentation that I gave, I covered these 7 AI tools. I'm not covering them on this one. If you want to watch it, go to YouTube or go to that landing page and scroll down, and you can watch the Anti-AI Masterclass where I went deeper into this. So at this point in the presentation, if you're already lost, you're like, oh my goodness, just go online. You can go to the landing page and you can watch the replay. You can slow it down if you want or speed it up. But the specialty apps are going to come from these 2 directories. And these are the ones that I did a deeper dive on because I felt these were the top 7 that most businesses needed to use. All right, level 3, AI agents. So we briefly talked about AI agents, showing you the Fortify on ChatGPT and Claude, but now we're going to go even deeper. So let's shift our mindsets to what is a GPT. Custom GPT, now I'm talking about ChatGPT. The other programs call it something different, which I'll talk about in a second. But if you're using ChatGPT, there's something called GPTs. And GPTs are pre-programmed modules to do one specific thing, just like we talked about with Fortify. They're designed to do one thing. They're conversational and they're tailored because you're going to train it with your own documents. So when you set out to create a GPT with you and your team, these are the main questions that I want you to ask. What are we trying to do? What is the outcome? Obviously, Stephen Covey, start with the outcome in mind first, right? What inputs and outputs are needed? So you can have a GPT that asks questions. Like for my Fortify guest, I could have said, ask me 3 questions before you go and do your work. And it would have said, okay, what's the person? What's their specialty? What's the proposed topic? In my case, I didn't need to do that because it's trained, but what inputs and outputs are needed? What platform or tools will it use? Again, this is how to create agents. There's different tools and platforms. We just showed you that Perplexity and Claude now have integrations. What data or standard operating procedures are required? So document it so that you can improve it. And then how are you going to measure the success? How are you going to have human oversight and measure the success? So these are my 4 AI agent tools. We're going to go through them. We're going to show demos. We're on Zoom. I can share the screen and go live and show the desktop and everything. So in ChatGPT, I want everybody after today to create a custom GPT for your role in your business. Get the training document. I'll show you how to create one and go create your own GPT. If you're doing it for parenting or nutrition or whatever it is that you're interested in, then go create a custom GPT. You can have unlimited GPTs. That's right. So it's not one GPT that does everything. It's a GPT targeted around one thing. So I have a GPT for my speaking and training business. I'm a Hall of Fame keynote speaker. I go in and speak to corporations, associations. I do public events. My fees aren't cheap. And so I have to make sure it's always lead with value, substantiate with features. And so I use the agent to make sure that my correspondence is accurate. I use the GPT when I have a pre-event Zoom call with the client. I record it. I am able to transcribe it and upload it to the GPT, and it listens to the language patterns of the prospects and the executive committee, and it helps me make sure that I don't miss any key details about the event and what their outcomes are. Because everything I do is tailored. It's not how I climbed Mount Everest. Everything's tailored. So I use AI to summarize and not only give me a detailed report of the conversation, but I have a GPT that can actually transcribe it, put it into Zoho, tag it, and create next action steps. So the action step for you is if you're doing something repetitively, then you need to think about agents and workflows, which is what we're talking about. So that's GPT. Perplexity has spaces. Claude has projects. And then I want you to make a note on Agentive, which is agentivehub.com. I'll have another slide here coming up. I'll explain that in a little bit more detail. But agentivehub.com allows you to create an agent that you then can deploy. See, right now, if you wanted to use ChatGPT's agent, you got to be in ChatGPT. If you want to use Perplexity Spaces, you got to be in Perplexity. If you want to use Claude Projects, you've got to go in to Claude and work within that program. Even though it can go out and get data, you're in that program. What Agentive Hub does, and this is not an endorsement, I don't make any commissions for anybody who uses these services. What Agentive Hub does is allows you to create a custom agent that's going to look and feel a lot like a custom GPT with the difference of deployment. You can actually deploy it on your website, on social media channels, on WhatsApp, and so forth. So Agentive Hub is something we're going to look at, but I want you to start simple, get complicated later. All right, so with any GPT or agent, you can upload multiple files. So instead of copying and pasting your text, you can just upload the files, and every program has certain limitations on it. We talked about the training document that you're going to use. And so here's how you do it in ChatGPT. You log into your account, you look at the left column, you look at Explore GPTs, And then the upper right-hand column, you're going to see create. And then you're just going to follow the prompts. Now, I'm actually going to share the screen right now. Go back here. My browser open. Of course, nobody ever talks to their screen, just me. Here we go. This is live. Devin, make sure I'm showing the right thing screen here. Okay, so I'm in ChatGPT on my browser. Now, just to be clear, this is the landing page I was just telling you about, the AI thank you. This is the replay from May. This is the document you can download. That's the prompting video. And then, of course, I've got consulting and stuff below. So on ChatGPT, this is just normal ChatGPT, right? I'm just in it. But look on the side here. I can go straight to GPTs and I can search GPTs for someone that's already created a GPT. And that might be a great place for somebody to start. Just go practice with some GPTs that have already been created and set to public access. Now, we're going to go a little bit deeper. Let's go down here to the Fortify agent. And since Ron Carr's on this, let's say my next guest, now we have no idea what this is going to do. My next guest, and Ron did not set this up, is Ron Carr. Okay? He's a colleague, past president of the National Speakers Association. So it's going to go out. It's going to go research him. Shows pictures of him. Here's my summary. Here's who he is. Here's my show hook. Did you know that teams that remove friction can boost sales by up to 30%? How does a velocity mindset help you overcome resistance, speed, blah, blah, blah? So there's a hook, right? It wrote the hook. It gives me my opening. It gives me the intro for him. It gives me strategic questions. It gives me the engagement boosters. It gives me the closing. And then it gives me the post show. So that's an agent. So let's look at that agent. If I click edit, this is my agent. These are the instructions. Now, in this case, I uploaded a document that I created on the best practices for podcasts. So I'm going to stop the share for a second. So what I do, everybody, whoops, camera would work. So what I do, I went to Perplexity and I said, I have a weekly podcast. I've done over 500 episodes. I need you to create the best practices to how to have a successful podcast. Create the training document for a custom GPT. I told Perplexity to write it for me. It wrote it. I copied and pasted to Microsoft Word, saved it. Then I went to ChatGPT, created the Fortified GPT, and then uploaded, is that the proper term, everybody? Uploaded it. It seems like it's too many syllables. Uploaded it in here, so you can see it here. So now I can obviously upload more files if I wanted to upload more files. So this is the instructions, and I'm not asking you to read these, so don't worry about that. And that is the agent, and that's the agent that we just used. So I'm going to go back over here. I'm not going to update the agent. Let's go back. So I have a chargeback response. I have a relationship coach. I have my speaking business. I have a men's health expert because, full disclosure, I'm on semaglutide and I've already lost 17 pounds. And so a lot of my friends in NSA, they're like, hey, my butt's too fat for the American Airlines seat. I said, my butt's too fat for the American Airlines seat. And they said, well, you might want to consider the shot. So pros and cons, we're not going to get into that on this call. But I can guarantee you, I spent a lot of time with that men's health coach GPT to understand the nutrition and the pros and cons and the side effects and does it make you sleepy and brain fog? And I really learned a lot by using a predetermined GPT. So for those of you here, create your own GPT. Now I know we're going to have questions. People are going to like, how did you do that? Show it to me again. But I will show you one more piece on that. So let's just go to my AI Mindshift agent. This is about my book, AI Mindshift. I'm going to click edit. These are the instructions. So this is the create tab. This is the configure tab. And let's scroll down. Look at the different documents that I uploaded. My keynote speaker packet, my business handout for the master classes, my Mindshift, my complete manuscript for my book, my back pages, my marketing for Amazon, my AI master training. So I've already trained this agent to use all of this content, and I can delete content, upload content, and change content. So I'm going to go back and close the zoom out. So take a breath for me, not for you. Use ChatGPT, play with some of the custom agents that are already created, custom GPTs, excuse me. I call them agents. Create your own and train it with the documents. Now, yes, set your privacy settings first. In there, I didn't go through all the settings of a GPT. But in there, it says, keep my data private so it's not being used to train it. So if you're using those training documents to train the AI, yes, you can set the privacy settings so it doesn't use your data. AI is going to be in everything. It's the single biggest disruptor that we're ever going to see in our lives. It's going to take millions of jobs. It's going to create millions of jobs. It's going to change the social construct and human behavior, I think, bigger than anything. This is not a disruptor like social media or the internet. This is a million times more disruptive. If you look at what the robotics are doing right now and artificial intelligence and making video and deep fakes, I mean, it is unreal. But I don't want to get seduced by that. I just want to ask myself, how can I have a happy bank account, happy clients, and happy team? That's my measurement of success. If I'm profitable, I'm doing well. If I'm taking care of the clients and creating amazing customer experiences, I'm doing well. And if I'm taking care of my team, then I'm going to have culture. So whatever your metrics are for you, AI is a tool. It's a feature, not an end result. Do not get seduced by the one tool, because tomorrow there's going to be different tools. What I'm sharing here in this masterclass is the mindset piece, using AI to solve AI problems, being curious, working with your team, setting up a committee on your team, asking them the top questions, creating a Slack channel or a Teams channel for AI wins and losses, creating an acceptable use policy so that everybody in your team knows what the pros and cons are. And before they can use any tool, they have to get approval. That's just my suggestions. Of course, every business and brand is unique to them. So that's the main how you create a GPT. But now I want to take you into Agentive. An Agentive Hub, I'm going to take this full screen. Agentive Hub allows you to create agents just like ChatGPT, but you can deploy them differently. So I'm going to share a live demo with you real quickly. Let me back it up for just a second. Let me go back and come into this. 1 second, I got to change. Okay, let's go here. Okay, so when you first, oh, I didn't repeat. Let me go back manually, everybody. So this is live, as we can tell. There we go. Okay, so when you're in Agentive and you log into Agentive, I'll actually show you in just a second, but when you log in, you have to set up Agentive Hub. Now, this is more advanced. So when you go to Agentive Hub, sorry, Joe Poker. Oh, so let's hit play here. So you log in. First thing you want to do is you're going to go to settings and you're going to go set up your organization, and you have to have an OpenAI account. That's right, everybody. This is not going to use regular ChatGPT. You have to set up an OpenAI API account because you're now using ChatGPT as a business. In here, you can see I've uploaded documents. So you have knowledge bases. Now, I'm going to show you this live in just a second so it'll make more sense. In fact, I'm just going to go do that real quick because this video I thought was going to save some time, but it looks like it's going to be more trouble. Let's just go on here and look at it. Claude, Copilot. Okay. Let's just go to it. Agentive Hub. AGEN, Agentive Hub. Okay. So I'm already logged in. But the biggest thing is when you create an agent, you can create a new agent right here. It's very similar to the process we just talked about with ChatGPT. You name your agent, you put your description in, you have to have an API key, and then you create your agent. That's really simple. But then there's a knowledge base. What's cool about the Agentive Hub is you can create all these knowledge bases. So for example, let's look at this one. So this is my PRR, Profit Rich Results example. In it, I have my speaker packet, my marketing kit, my keynote business, my bulk books. I have documents, and I can put many more documents in here. So the action step is people say, well, I want to create a GPT and I want to upload it with all of my data. That's what Agentive Hub is for. So you can create custom knowledge bases, which are separate, and then you can attach those knowledge bases to different GPTs. So unlike ChatGPT, where it's all, this is my Fortify and these are the documents, with Agentive Hub, it's much, much more powerful. You can have many different knowledge bases. You can attach them to certain agents, And then the cool part, and let me show you this part. Some of you like right now, you're in a coma, I'm sure. Let's go up here to agents and let's go to this one and let's go to deploy. Now, hopefully you can see this on your screens. These are the integrations: WhatsApp, Instagram, Messenger, voice flow. Here's where you can create your agent and deploy it on your own website. So you're customizing the agent and then deploying it. It's using whatever knowledge base you want. So that's how you could create a chatbot for your website. Then there's custom deployment, where you can go in here and you can get the code and you can paste the code right in to whatever program or app. So the benefit of this is, I told you we're going to get more advanced. The benefit is, if you're an organization that wants to level up beyond just GPTs and spaces and projects and those large language models, then use a tool like Agentive Hub, because it's much more powerful. But you're going to need help, and you're going to need an API key, because you're going to be spending money every time someone uses that agent. You get so many tokens for each activity, but the more advanced the activity, the more tokens you're going to use. So if you're not careful, it could actually turn into some revenue for you, or some expense, a lot of expense. So what you want to do is ask yourself, is this the best application for what I'm trying to do? All right, so that's Agentive Hub. They have all kinds of training online where you can learn how to do that. I've already played the video. So let's go here. We got 15 minutes left. I'm going to go in and we're going to go a little deeper. I'm still got some more content, but I know that what's going to happen, because every time this happens, people say, okay, Ford, can I just get an hour with you where you can share Zoom and help me set GPTs up, help me set my agent up, and help train my team? This is not a keynote, everybody. My fees are much, much higher than that. This is a one-on-one interactive session where we're going to work with you and share the screen to set up your agents and to go deeper. So if you're interested, this is for the people that are here today. You can go to that QR code or AI-special on the website, fill it out. It's a one-time price of $500. It's 100% guaranteed. If you don't feel like it's 10 times the value, just let me know. I'll give your money back. But I've never had a client yet ask for the money back, because I can give you more in 20 minutes, even though we're going to go an hour, than you can possibly implement. And you do get to record it. So this is a special offer for this masterclass that I'm doing. That's it. If you want to work one-on-one with me for that. Now, I have other versions where it's $5,000 is the next level up from that. That's where we do a discovery call. We meet with your executive team. We do much more. But if you want a 1 hour with me to help really lever these tools up and shortcut your learning curve, click the QR code and go do that. All right, so let's go to robotic process automation. So we talked about level 1 with large language models. I gave you a directory of thousands at Futurepedia and AI tools directory, whatever that was. I'll have to go back to the slide. I use Futurepedia when I want to look for AI tools. And then we talked about agents, and I showed you how to create a custom GPT. I will share the screen real quickly and cover one more thing. So on ChatGPT, they have the agents. Copilot, you can have agents. On Perplexity, they have spaces. You can just click the plus sign and you can create an agent right there. Claude has these integrations now that now you can integrate and go straight to. So right here, you can integrate with a bunch of other drives and programs, so they're much more advanced. Make.com is where we're going to go. So we're going to go to Make.com, Zapier, and N8N. All right, so those are the 3 areas that we're going to look at right now. And then I will stick around. We will stop right at the top of the hour in 11 minutes, but I will continue and answer questions. But for time purposes, everybody's going to get the full replay. But for time purposes, I said it was an hour, and I wanted to make sure I cover everything I can within the hour. We just got done talking about showing you the screens, and now we're going to go deeper into robotic process automation. So one of the things I like about N8N, this is more advanced, but this, I just want to show everybody a workflow, okay? So that you could do this in Zapier, you could do this in Make.com. N8N is more advanced, but it's an easy interface. So for example, if you follow this workflow, when it creates a new user, when someone fills out a form, it can actually go to an AI agent that does several different things. It can take that content and send it to Anthropic, which is Claude. It can get the chat. It can go into Microsoft. It You can go into Jira and it can create a new user. It can have a manager, if then do this, if that, do that. Now you might be saying, well, what the hell? What is that for? Well, let's look at the workflow for this webinar. I'll show you the Zap in just a second. You go to the website, profitresults.com/AI-now. That's a landing page that you all subscribed in. You filled out the form. It's a Gravity form. Gravity form takes the data, puts it into Airtable, puts your survey data into Airtable, takes your data and goes and puts it onto Zoho, puts it in Zoho and tags it with the month that you were on, adds you to an autoresponder so it drips on you with value-added things, not spam. So just don't freak out. You're not going to have flooded with emails. And then it goes ahead and creates an action step for me to say, hey, a lot of you asked on the webinar if you can work one-on-one with me, and here's how. So it gives you an opportunity to go back to what we were just talking about, where you can work with me one-on-one, because sometimes people are busy doing it. So it's a way to close that loop. So workflows. So now I'm going to share the screen. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Make.com first. I'm going to log in. I'm not going to be able to show you everything that we have in here, but I will show you, you've got scenarios over here. And so these are some scenarios that I have set up. These are programmed to do very specific things. So in this case, what this one does is I upload a blog. The blog, Airtable watches the blog, goes and gets it, goes to ChatGPT, and then repurposes the content. And so these are all, this is to generate content, this is to publish content. Now, I don't expect you to understand that, but what I do want you to do is go into Make.com, check out the AI agents, which is beta, and they let you create agents too, because they know that that's the phase that everybody wants to do right now. But more importantly, go to templates. This is where the magic happens. And you can see here, these are pre-built templates to do amazing things. Now you can search it. Let's say you use QuickBooks. You can search for QuickBooks, and then it's going to give you a lot of different templates. If you're maybe you have Zoho, and like in my case, I use Zoho CRM. These are pre-built templates that you can modify. So if you think you can do it, what I like about Make.com is they've already done a lot of the heavy lifting for you. So maybe you say you have WordPress and you're going to have Gravity forms and you're going to maybe have a blog. We'll just go through those and we'll look. And we'll just close that down and go here. And so now I go into the template. And so here is a blueprint of the workflow. Now, in this case, like I said when I started, these workflows are a combination of reasoning and action steps. In Make.com, they're just action steps because you can create AI elements in here. So in this case, it looks at WordPress, then it goes to OpenAI, and it can go process the content. It can take the text out. Once it repurposes the text, it goes to a router. Router can put a new post back into Airtable. It can go and send it to ChatGPT again. It can create a different record in Airtable for approved or waiting to be approved. It can also publish it. So I know you're thinking right now, okay, this is a lot of stuff. We got 6 minutes left. Start simple, get complicated later. Set your defaults. Use these tools. Make sure that you're creating a committee on your team of AI specialists, because you're going to have some people that have really gone down the rabbit hole and figured this out. There are so many built tools now to do a lot of the things that you might have to do by hand. So research to see if there's a tool before you start trying to create this from scratch. For the brands that are here, yes, there's enterprise versions and there's more customization. That's where you're going to hire someone like me or another AI agency to go in and discover. You always have to diagnose first before you prescribe. When I'm doing a masterclass for hundreds of people that have all different levels of expertise, I have to make sure that I cover all the areas of expertise. And so what we've been talking about on level 4 are Make.com, Zapier, and N8N. So I showed you real quickly Make.com. We're going to go in here. Let's go to Zapier. What's great about Zapier is when you log in, it asks you what do you want to automate. So you can come in here and you can just type a prompt. Now, what should you do? What you should do is go to Perplexity and say, I want to create a custom workflow in Make.com. Give me step-by-step instructions to do it. Or I want to create a workflow in Zapier. Give me step-by-step instructions. Here's my tech stack. So remember back to when we started this presentation, use AI to solve AI problems. So if you're sitting here right now and you're like, oh, wait, I didn't get to see every bell and whistle that he clicked on, because it's not important. I'm teaching you how to fish so that you can go do this on your own by using AI to solve the problem. And be multimodal. Use Perplexity, use Claude, use ChatGPT to help you solve these problems. Okay, so we're going to go back in here. So that's on Zapier. N8N has the same thing. Now, I'm not using N8N. I'm using Make.com and Zapier. So if I come in here to my Zaps, you'll see here's the Zaps, and you can see this is the June 25th webinar. And this is where it takes the gravity form submission, and then it creates a record and Airtable. And I don't really want to pull this up because it'll be real data. So hopefully it won't have email addresses. And if it does, I'll shut it off and I'll take it off the replay. Oops, not there. Well, actually, we can go to that one. Let's go to that one. So this is for content marketing. I basically uploaded chapters of my book. And then what the workflow did was it went and it took, let me just explain this without the visuals. So I have this book, AI Mindshift, right? It's all about how you think and leverage AI. I took the manuscript into a workflow in Make.com. It took each chapter and parsed it out. It took each chapter and went out to ChatGPT and Perplexity, did its research, and created 10 short form videos based on that chapter on my content, stuff I wrote. And then it put it into Airtable and it flagged it as waiting. And then manually I have to go in and go, yeah, that's good, that's not, that's good. And once I trigger it by clicking, yes, that's good, yes, that's bad, then it goes and does the next step and goes over to HeyGen and creates the video with my avatar, goes to 11 Labs and creates the voiceover. So now I'm taking my book and I'm completely repurposing it with 10 different videos for each chapter with short form and long form videos and narratives and avatars. Now, there's no replacement for the human behavior. I get that. But if you think it, you can do it. So as you think back to everything we've talked about today, I would tell you that the greatest risk with AI isn't adopting it too soon. And I appreciate everybody being here today. We're almost at the top of the hour. I am going to continue with Q&A after I'm done with this. But the greatest risk isn't adopting it too soon. It's waiting too long and falling behind. So here's, as we think about closing this up, this was not a keynote presentation, everybody. This was an interactive AI workshop masterclass. If you want to work one-on-one with me, obviously you can do that. You can click the QR code on the page. If you're looking for more advanced training, it starts at $5,000. These aren't cheap solutions, but these are investments in your future to cut your learning curve. And one of the reasons I've been doing these webinars is because it changes so quickly that you can't go watch a webinar that I did 6 months ago because it's outdated. And I'm appalled. And I'm actually flying out to go speak to PuroClean this weekend in Dallas. I'll be in Dallas speaking to the franchise brand on business growth acceleration and leveraging the power of AI to improve the customer experience. My presentation is going to be completely different than what it was for Perspire brands a month ago, or what it was for Tropical Smoothie, or what it was for one of those other brands, because this changes so quickly. But the takeaway is, look at this through the eyes of the prospect. Don't forget the human experience. And with that, I'm going to tell everybody, there we go. Thank you for being here today. Now I'm going to stick around and we're going to take questions. If you want to work with me one-on-one, Devin put the link in there a couple times. I tell you, it's 100% guaranteed. If we get on Zoom together for an hour and you don't think it was worth 10 times, I will give you your money back. So there's no, and that's on a recorded line. So you're good. All right. So I'm going to scroll up to the top of this list. And I'm going to actually go to Q&A first, Devin, and then I'll go to the chat, okay? All right, so NatFam is, can we get the transcript too? You won't get the transcript of my presentation, but you could always capture it. And it will go out on YouTube after a couple weeks, and YouTube has a transcript, you can get it there. Don says, from Ron Carr, can you give ballpark investments for each of the 3 areas, custom GPTs? Well, so really, Don, the question of ballpark is, it's $20 a month to use the tool. If you're using Agentive Hub, then you're paying for tokens. So that's if you're going to deploy a widget in a custom branded thing and you want a piece of software that's more customized. But just using it for you or your company, you can do it for the $20. I like to use 4.0. Greg's asked which version. I use the most current version, the most popular version. They do have different versions for different things. So do your due diligence to check which one's best for you. Okay, question about... All right, can you let me, I'm trying to read it as we're live here, everybody, so I don't want to waste anybody's time. I'm going to skip that question for just a minute. I'll come back to it. Can you teach how to make a GPT? I'd also like a prompt. Okay, so for the anonymous user that asked about that, you go into ChatGPT, go to the left-hand side, you click on GPTs, click create, and you paste in what you want it to do, and then you can upload your documents. Cynthia says, I have a low-level paid membership for ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Claude. Okay, this is jumping around, Devin. Hang on a second. I got to expand this a little bit more. Okay. There are file limit uploads. How can I train with this limitation? Okay, so Cynthia, to get around the training, instead of updating 15 documents, you can make the documents larger sizes. So each AI tool changes what they're allowed to upload. Obviously, Agentive Hub has more freedom, which is why it's more expensive. But certainly you can train in a Word document, take out the graphics, upload the file sizes. Claude, last time I checked, was like 50 different documents, but it's not just the number of documents. It's the number of documents and the size of the document. So start simple, get complicated later. How can you monetize a Agentive agent, Steve? Well, you can do that by creating Agentive Hub actually allows you to white label it and sell it. I didn't do that today. I'm not claiming it was mine. I gave it the keys to the castle and said, hey, go to Agentive Hub. But Agentive Hub is mainly for agents and AI consultants that are creating agents for clients or a brand that's going to create it for them. Why create a GPT instead of a project? In ChatGPT, GPTs are modules to do one thing. Projects allow you to keep different threads grouped. They're completely 2 different things. When I'm talking projects, I'm talking about ChatGPT. Nate says, what are the quality limits to the amount of content you can upload into custom GPT? Yeah, so Nate asks, what should we do? It recommends creating a database and then route that database because he's got, if you know Nate Woodbury, he's the master of leveraging YouTube to generate leads and expand your brand awareness. And so there are a lot of different ways. And I like the fact, Nate, that you use ChatGPT to try to figure it out, but certainly creating those custom databases where it can then access it. But if you go to make.com and create a workflow, then you can put all those transcripts in Airtable and you can grill a workflow that goes and does thousands of scripts and goes. So instead of doing a custom GPT, Nate, you're really looking at a workflow in like make.com or N8N. Which model of ChatGPT am I using, Maria? Glad you're here, franchise executive. I'm just using ChatGPT for the main one, the $20 a month. I'm not using the team version. The team version allows you to collaborate with other team members. I just have a team account for all my members. They can have their own. Who's intended user of the information uploaded to Agentive? Well, Sherry, that really comes down to what do you want the tool to do? The reason you would use Agentive is like I have a chatbot on my 2 websites. I created them with Zapier because my account allows me to have that. I could have created those same agents in Agentive Hub and then deploy them on other locations. So the advantage of using Agentive Hub or a similar tool is you're now creating software that you can deploy in other places. Can I have that book workflow? I have 3 books and I want to do that. Oh, yeah, Katie, that's if you want to actually learn how to take your book and slice it into contents, that's what that $500, what I'd recommend. I think if the slide's still there, nope, it's not. I'll go get it in a second and put it up. But that's more advanced than just a question that I could just answer. It's not a short answer. Dave says, what tool do I recommend for a multi-agent workflow? I like make.com because that's the one I've been using. Although when I talk to some of the people that are more advanced on some of this than I am, and I'm pretty advanced, they like N8N. So I have not used N8N because I don't want to learn another shiny object, but I'm not saying that it wouldn't be better. The following question was not answered. Ford said he'd come back to it. Question is, what version of ChatGPT? Okay, so I use 4.0, Greg, and I start with 4.0 and I use the most current one. How long? Jude asks about my one-on-one. Oh, so that's really interesting. So I'm going to share with this everybody. This is good to use. Let's go in here. I should have said this on the call. So if for those people that are still hanging around here, which is most of you, if you come to that special QR code in that page, here's what you need to know. Lock it in now. You have 6 months to use it. So if you're interested in this special, go buy it, get locked in, and you can pick a time from now up to 6 months. And do you want 7 months? Sure, I don't care. I'm just not going to just extend it till forever, but you can lock it in and use it when you're ready. And so that's the best way to leverage that. Otherwise, you can see here, just by looking at here, the prices go up quite a bit onto the other things on the site. So you can lock this in. I'll put the link, or Devin will put the link back in, but you can lock it in and you do have more time. All right, so that's the main questions. Whatever you're learning, you have to stay flexible and adaptable because it is going to change. All right, everybody. I appreciate you all being here today. It's been great to share another masterclass. We'll let you know when the next one's up. If you felt this was too advanced, just go online and go to the landing page and scroll down, because Devin's going to put the last one lower on the page. She's also going to go ahead and add the promotion for that with the terms that you can lock it in now and use it for 6 months. All right, everybody. Bye for now. It's been a pleasure. Every business in the world, whether they're independent or part of a franchise system, they wake up every morning with the same challenge. There's this gap between where they are now and where they want to go. And that gap always comes down to one of 3 areas: mindset, strategy, or tactics.
AI is a tool that can help you in all of these areas. You see, the greatest risk with AI isn't adopting it too soon, it's waiting too long and falling behind. So I want you to think about your potential, because I know you can all do it. It's not what you know, it's how well you execute. She took a look at me, down at the proposal, and back up at me and said, "Do you have any experience?" I got that check for $525. I went and sat in my 1966 Chevelle with no insurance, tags, or title. And I looked at this thing and I said, I'm going to figure out how to do this. So to bridge the gap from where you are now to where you want to go, we're going to explore my accelerated growth system.
Organizations today, they don't need more motivation. What they really need is a system for sustainable growth. And the accelerated growth system is that system.
So let's start with mindset. So when you have a new mindset, you produce new results. So the key here is to focus on what you can control and ask yourself, what's the one skill that if I was to develop it would double my performance? Because your business will only grow as fast as you do.
So when it comes to strategy, it's not about doing more. Sometimes it's about doing less. It's about identifying what do you want to stop doing, what do you want to start doing, and what do you want to continue doing.
You're dealing with increased competition, staffing challenges, and constant disruption. That's why it's more important than ever that you have a strategy and that you follow your systems.
But all the strategies and tactics in the world won't help unless you take action, the missing piece.
So once you have the mindset and the strategies, it comes down to tactics. What specifically are you going to do? What action steps are you going to take?
Put yourself in the mind of the prospect. What's your customer journey from awareness to prospect to qualified prospect to a customer to a client all the way up to an advocate? AI can help you in any of those buckets, from operations, marketing, sales, and the customer experience. So I don't believe that AI is going to replace humans, but I do believe it's going to replace humans that aren't using AI.
Ford is an eye-opener.
Before the session, I felt very intimidated and overwhelmed at the idea of AI. Now I just see opportunity for us to use it.
Ford has been one of the best that we've ever brought in.
All of his concepts are so practical and so relevant.
Extraordinarily professional, great at what he does.
Energetic, exciting, incredible. So much powerful information.
And then he talked about mindset and growth. You can't remember everything, but guess what can? AI.
Hit all marks. He challenged us to change the way we think, how we do business, and ultimately how we're going to grow.
This was one of the best sessions of the whole conclave.
The point is, I want you to go out and take action, because I want you to remember, it's not what you know, it's how well you execute. Thank you very much.